Hi guys, it's Nicole, and today I'm sharing a double page layout that I made using a sketch from Scrapbook Generation. This is part of an ongoing series, class, Facebook group. I'm not really sure how to reference it, but basically it is a set of 10 sketches, all sort of focused on uncropped 4x6 photos, and they're all 2-page sketches. Part of the bonus materials goes into like single page sketches and various things like that. For my layout today, I am still kind of dipping my toe into a trip. I have yet to really do any of our vacations and stuff, so kind of started with a trip to San Diego. I want to say this was 2019. So I'm kind of working backwards on our trips and just kind of dealing with them as I can mentally deal with it. I'm also jumping around in the sketches. Typically, I would work in the order of the sketches and just kind of go down the line. However, knowing that I'm already kind of behind, my kids just went back to school, I've got a lot of stuff going on. I bounced around, I matched up photos with sketches sort of as they were having ideas come to me. Now, this layout is a little bit different than what I would normally do, but if you're new here, I'm going to go ahead and apologize now. My voiceovers are not necessarily organized, but I try my best and I try to just be me. So, regardless of where you're coming from, hi, hello, welcome. Now, this sketch, if you're in the class or you have the sketches, you know what it looks like. There's 3 sort of prominent horizontal paper sections. I wasn't really feeling that, and for some reason, when I was printing my photos, which was like road trip type photos, I kind of had this idea in my mind and I couldn't let it go, and I decided to go ahead and just run with it and see if I could make it work, where I wanted to do like scene building and I wanted to change each of those 3 strips to be 3 different sections in a scene. So like the bottom strip of patterned paper is, I've turned it into a road. The middle one I've turned into like mountain desert landscaping, and then the top of the top paper strip I turned into the sky with cloud die cuts. I pretty much cut everything. I want to say maybe not. No, my journaling is a metal die and my title. Everything else I cut on my Cameo. I just go through the Silhouette store and my library and kind of look and see what is going to work and size it to what I need it to be and go with it. And even at this point, I still wasn't 100% sure if this was going to work out and if it was still going to sort of read as like an accurate representation of that sketch, which it doesn't really have to, because when you use a sketch and you make changes to it and you interpret it, you're still having that same starting point. So it still technically counts as using that sketch, even if your end result looks completely different. Mine, you could loosely identify those 3 like sections of paper because I've broken them into 3 separate sections of a die cut scene. I love doing die cut scenes. I haven't done one in a while. It's been on the back of my mind because I've talked about it with people a lot. And a lot of people are asking for like a series on die cut scenes or even just scene building in general, because I'll do it with stickers, I'll do it with pre-made die cut, I'll do it with anything. I love a good scene. So I think because I was thinking about that, that's kind of why this idea popped into my head. I also considered stitching along the edges of like the mountain peaks and around the edges of the clouds, and I think it would have looked absolutely cute and it would have added a lot of texture and a lot of interest, and it would have, typically when I do the sketch bundles, I'll kind of have something across all of them that I do. So like the 6x6 1-page bundle, I'm kind of making an intention to stitch on every single layout. This time I'm just kind of running with it and doing whatever. So my decision-making process is probably what I get asked a lot about. I tend to just run with whatever pops into my mind. Once I figured out the 3 areas and turning everything kind of into a die cut scene, I start working forward in layers on the sketch. So like my background and my photos are done. I'm going to kind of work forward in layers of interest. I substituted the very large icon that's depicted on the left-hand side of the sketch for a Jeep. Did we drive a safari Jeep to California? No, we did not, but I wanted to have the theme of the zoo and the safari park still represented in other aspects of the trip as well. So my method for including that was to, instead of having like a cute little car or a cute little SUV, was to instead do the safari truck and then bring in like some ferns and some flowers and stuff like that. Because again, I haven't done any of our trips, but I'm thinking my end result is going to be a separate album for the zoo trip. So I do kind of want everything collectively to have the zoo and the safari themed products kind of on every page, even if it's like stuff from the hotel room. When my kids were swimming at the pool at the hotel, we went to the beach. Like, I haven't 100% figured out what I'm doing, but I'm also not 100% like fully committed to working through this. I just kind of have everything set aside, and as I feel motivated to work on these photos, I do. When I'm not, it can stay in its little home until I'm ready to get to it. So I'm hopeful that if you have recently found my channel and you're thinking that this is a typical layout and a typical video for me, I will say no. I bounce around a lot. Sometimes it's going to be stuff where it's die cut scenes, and sometimes it's going to be more linear and like neat, pretty papers, like the one I posted a couple days ago. I go with what I like, what I feel like doing, what I enjoy, and that's what I share. So from there, so I've got my truck all done. From there, I'm just kind of trying to figure out how much room do I have left and what do I have left that I sort of want to make sure has a home. The sketch kind of has the 3 clusters that you typically see. You've got the large cluster on the left, and then you've got 2 clusters on the right sort of surrounding your journaling. I got out my favorite notebook die to do my journaling on, but it's a 3x4 sized die cut, and even the 3 inches I felt like took up too much space on the left and was going to cover up a lot of my scene. So I actually ran it back through my die cut machine a second time and just shifted the paper over to cut the edge of the die cut a little bit neater and have it kind of look like it's more of like a 2x4. It didn't come out the neatest, but it worked. From there, I kind of tried to figure out what I was going to do for my title. And typically when I do titles, I like mixing different fonts, different colors, different sizes. Like I like having stuff together, but not all the same color, all the same font, all the same size. So I am doing DIY thickers. I call them dickers because it's funny. It's just one of those like random things that pops up into your mind while you're cutting something over and over and over again. I typically do 3 layers of a white cardstock. 9 times out of 10, this is leftover paper from when I print journaling strips, and I just keep it tucked in like a container on my desk. And anytime I need to do, or I want to do, stacked die cuts and kind of DIY type chipboard, I will try to reach for that before I go reach for like a full size sheet of cardstock. From there, I typically try to figure out what pattern paper do I want to have my top layer be. Most of the cardstock that I cut my Jeep with is really old. It's from Bo Bunny, and I think it's their double dot line. I don't know if they still make it. I have so much of it because when I was doing Disney classes for a local store that has since closed, that was sort of their in-house solid color cardstock preference, and it cuts really good. So I have a ton of it. Anytime I do sort of like paper piecing type die cutting, I tend to reach for it first because I can trust that it's going to cut well. So I did my title from the same double dot that I had pulled out. From there, I went and typed up my journaling. I sized it to fit, do my little journaling trick to print it, and I just run it back through with my die cut piece taped on top of it. And then at that point is when I start kind of scaling down in size of embellishments that I'm putting on here. And again, I'm just continuing to kind of work forward in interest. I had purchased these dies from Lawn Fawn a while back, and I purposely bought them to be able to do this zoo trip. And I think I still have them out. If I can find them, I'll link them, because again, by the time I show something in a video that I've bought, it's probably been at least a few months because I'm kind of slow. I'm quick to swipe my card, slow to actually get to use the product. But they're from Lawn Fawn, and it's tropical leaves. So it came with, well, I didn't put them back. I think there's like 7 or 8 different dies on here. I picked the ones I liked best. I went back to that pile of double dot scraps that I had to cut them out of some different greens. And basically it was knowing that my background is all cardstock, my truck is all cardstock, and I knew I was going to want to include some stickers and stuff, but I wanted to kind of have almost like a meshing of the two. My go-to is to typically just do like DIY die cuts or DIY stickers and just kind of cut your own stuff. So similar sized die cuts to the pieces on the sticker sheet that I'm using to kind of mix them in together. So my little ferns and stuff here are from cardstock, but like the map and the florals and the little phrase, those are all from a sticker sheet. And I tend to just kind of embellish until I feel like it looks balanced to me. I got everything on here that I wanted to get on here. Typically, I will go ahead and glue as I make decisions. Things like scenes, I will kind of allow things to be loose and sit on the page until I really make a decision. And then I will kind of, like, I took care of everything on the right, and then I came back and I'm going to take care of everything on the left. I'm still obsessed with picking up my like letters and titles with a piece of tape because it just works so much easier, and it's easier to kind of move it to a different part of your page and figure out, do I like it here? Do I not like it here? I wanted to fill in part of that road and kind of break up all the black. So that was where I figured out that it was just best for my layout for the title to go there. I'm gonna finish with just a couple little floral stickers that I found here and there. I thought about tucking something in like the windshield, and then ultimately I was like, no, at some point I kind of have to tell myself that it's done. I like it as it is. Like, just go ahead and move on type of a thing. So with that, that is my completed layout. I've got a couple detail shots. Again, if you're new here and you've made it this far, I thank you for stopping by and spending a few minutes with me. If you like what you see, you're more than welcome to subscribe, but just know that you don't have to subscribe to watch my channel. And with that, I will catch you guys later.